If you hire 50% women engineers and 50% male engineers, then the women engineers are less qualified because the pool of engineers is lower among women. So you can't hire 50% women engineers without producing a decrement in the quality of the engineers because the selection pool is too small. You can't do that on a large scale. You might be able to do that in one company. But you think about it mathematically. If there's 10 times as many male engineers as there are female engineers, and you insist upon hiring 50-50, then obviously the degree to which the female engineers are proficient cannot be the same as the degree to which the male engineers are proficient. It's mathematically impossible.
So you're saying don't even try?
No. I'm saying something much more specific than that. Now, one company might be able to do that for a short period of time in one isolated location. Men and women make different amounts of money. Well, sorry.
If, for the same work, women make only 77 cents for every dollar a man makes, why don't businesses hire only women? Wages are the biggest expense for most businesses, so hiring only women would reduce costs by nearly a quarter, and that would go right to the bottom line. Don't businesses want to be profitable, or are they just really bad at math? Well, actually, it's the feminists, celebrities, and politicians spreading this wage gap myth who have the math problem. Here's why. The 77 cents on the dollar statistic is calculated by dividing the median earnings of all women working full-time by the median earnings of all men working full-time. In other words, if the average income of all men is, say, $40,000 a year, and the average annual income of all women is, say, $30,800, that would mean that women earn 77 cents for every dollar a man earns. But these calculations don't reveal a gender wage injustice because it doesn't take into account occupation, position, education, or hours worked per week. Even a study by the American Association of University Women, a feminist organization, shows that the actual wage gap shrinks to only 6.6 cents when you factor in different choices men and women make. One of the primary reasons why men tend to earn more than women is due to personal choices. Men, on average, work longer hours, take on more dangerous jobs, and pursue careers that offer higher salaries. They are more inclined to take risks and enter fields that are traditionally associated with higher pay, such as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In contrast, women are often more interested in social-oriented work and tend to choose safer occupations, which typically offer lower salaries. The overarching argument remains that women, as a group, tend to choose different career paths based on personal preferences, safety considerations, and the desire for work-life balance. Men are more likely to take risks and prioritize their careers over other aspects of their lives. These choices, combined with societal factors, contribute to the wage gap. In 2009, the U.S. Department of Labor released a paper that examined more than 50 peer-reviewed studies and concluded that the oft-cited 23% wage gap may be almost entirely the result of individual choices being made by both male and female workers. Well, let's look at some of those choices. Georgetown University compiled a list of the 5 best-paying college majors and the percentage of men or women majoring in those fields. Number 1 best-paying major, petroleum engineering, had 87% as male. Number 2, pharmaceutical sciences had 48% males, and number 3, mathematics and computer science had 67% as males. Aerospace engineering has 88% males, and chemical engineering has 72% occupied by males. Notice that women outrepresent men in only one of the 5 top-paying majors, and by only a few percentage points. Now let's consider the same study's list of the 5 worst-paying college majors. Number 1 is counseling and psychology. It's 74% females. Number 2, early childhood education, 97% females. Number 3, theology and religious vocations, 66% male. Number 4, human services and community organization, 81% female. And number 5, social work is 88% female. Here, it's the women who lead in all but one category. Even within the same profession, men and women make different career choices that impact how much money they make. Take nursing, where male nurses on the whole earn 18% more than female nurses. The reason? Male nurses gravitate to the best-paying nursing specialties. They work longer hours and disproportionately find jobs in cities with the highest compensation. Women don't. The pay gap is primarily a result of differences in work hours and job choices. Women tend to take more time off from the workforce, often to care for their children, which leads to a differential in earnings. Research by Christina Summers and studies conducted in America's largest cities have debunked the idea that women are paid less than men for the same job and credentials. Feminists and women who claims they are not paid the same as men in soccer fails to acknowledge the economic realities of women's soccer. Women's soccer generates less revenue compared to men's soccer, particularly during the World Cup. The Men's World Cup has a significantly larger audience and brings in more money. The pay disparity between men and women in soccer is a result of the difference in revenue, not discrimination. The female soccer players signed a contract voluntarily, and if they disagreed with the terms, they had the choice not to sign it. The argument that women are not paid enough for the same work as men is baseless. The claim that women can do everything men can do, if not better, is refuted by the differences in physical capabilities between the sexes. It is absurd to argue that a woman lifting weights is doing the same job as a man lifting twice the weight. The example of the under-15 boys soccer team defeating the gold medal-winning women's team highlights the inherent differences in physical performance between men and women. The White House's post about the gender pay gap, listing different racial and ethnic groups along with their respective wage gaps, is misleading. The post fails to consider confounding factors such as work hours and career choices. It starts with the assumption that white men are at the top and implies discrimination, ignoring the success of Asian men and Nigerian-born American immigrants. The post's ranking of discrimination against different groups based on wage gaps is inconsistent and lacks statistical validity. Differences in job preferences and career choices contribute to the gender pay gap. Women are less likely to enter STEM fields, despite efforts by tech companies to recruit more women. The preferences for job selection and performance in math and science tests differ between men and women. While the averages may be similar, the distribution of scores differs, with more men at both ends of the spectrum. This does not imply that women are worse off, but rather that factors influencing wage averages need to be taken into account. Stephen Levitt, an economist from the University of Chicago, argues that women's lower wages may indicate that a higher wage is not as significant an incentive for women as it is for men. Women's career choices and priorities may differ from men's, and not all women prioritize higher-paying jobs. In countries with supposedly more gender equality, women are even less likely to enter STEM fields compared to countries with more gender inequality. The value and appeal of higher wages may vary among individuals and do not solely depend on gender. To address the gender pay gap, some people suggest eliminating the identification and importance of gender altogether. However, this oversimplifies the issue and disregards the complexities of societal structures and personal choices. The focus should be on empowering women to pursue their preferred careers and providing equal opportunities for success, rather than perpetuating the myth of a discriminatory pay gap. In conclusion, the gender pay gap is a myth largely based on misunderstandings and misinterpretations of statistical data. Factors such as work hours, career choices, and personal preferences contribute to differences in earnings between men and women. Debunking this myth requires a nuanced understanding of the complex factors at play and recognizing that equality does not mean identical outcomes in all aspects of life.